Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vakpranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastva Nirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu Dharmaste Mayi Santu ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Sleep is not a matter for scholarly analysis alone. This is where we had left off. So even though the Panditas can have a Vyutpatti Artha, derive the definition of sleep as Swam Apito Bhavati, you don't have to look into that definition to understand sleep, because sleep is very famous. Sleep is extremely famous, and it is famous with all the pranis, not just the human beings, but all the beings. And it is, how is it famous? Gunataha prasiddhi, gunataha prasiddhi syat. And so it has a kind of a fame based on the feeling when that sleep happens. Sleep, because you see, it is a pleasant feeling, and that pleasant and wanted feeling, nobody really in their right mind complains, I have a problem. What is your problem? I slept yesterday. Okay, then I slept the day before, then every night I'm sleeping. That's my problem. Nobody has this problem. So from this it is evident that sleep is there is a certain prasiddhi for sleep. Sleep has a certain prasiddhi, and sleep is well loved. Sleep is beloved by all. So this is gaunartha. Gaunartha means gunataha, by the guna. The other one was vyutpatti artha, swam hi apito bhavati. That was the grammatical derivation. And so here we don't need the grammatical derivation, and we don't need to be a pandit to understand that, oh my God, I really need to go to sleep. I'm tired. And sleep is a place of rest, rejuvenation. This is, this is something I don't have to do a PhD thesis to find out what this sleep is all about. So then we are in the middle of this long bhashya. Bhashyakara asked this question: Katham punaha laukikanam prasiddha swatma sampattihi. So if we thought this is a matter for philosophers, swatma sampattihi, in sleep avastha, in sleep, we were told in the earlier portion of the mantra and the bhashya, what happens, tasmin kale, in sleep, what happens? Sata sat shabda vachyaya devataya sampanno bhavati. Meaning, in sleep, the person, so to speak, again within heavy quotes, air quotes all the time, goes back to Sat. So awake, while the person is awake, are they not, are they returning from Sat? They are not returning, they are still in Sat. But here the burden of the mind, the body, and all the samsarga dosha is not there. So the jiva is absent in the sleep. The individual is absent in the sleep. because you are absent, sleep becomes a wonderful situation. Yeah, sleep becomes wonderful because you are not there. That is the idea. So then that is why this sata sampanno bhavati, we saw that, why? Because mana adi samsarga kritam jiva rupam parityajya swam sadrupam yat paramartha satvam apitaha apigato bhavati. So mana adi samsarga kritam jiva rupam parityajya tyaktva, having given up the jivahood. What is jivahood? Jiva with the hood of ignorance. Okay, yeah, so having given up jivahood and jivaness. And what is jivaness? Jivaness is characterized by samsarga dosha, the fallacy of wrong identification with manaha ityadi, with the mind, with the body, with the senses. I am as good as what I think. I am restless, I am calm, I am angry, I am hungry. And sometimes the teenagers combine the two. I am hangry, meaning I am hungry and I didn't know it till now, and so now there is no food, and I am angry while being hungry, so I am hangry. So all these are all conditions of the mind, conditions of the body, conditions of whatever it is, the wrong identification. So one identifies with all these things, useless conditions of the mind which are fleeting anyway. And then this is what jivata, this is jivata. This is what is jiva rupa. So this jivata rupam, this jiva rupam, parityajya tyaktva, having given up that in sleep, swam sadrupam, which is paramartha satyam, apigataha bhavati. So having discarded that jivaness, jivaness means the one who is a demanding, non-appreciative, discontented person. This is jiva. And high maintenance. Okay, yeah, all the time you have to go after the person. The person has to be dealt with all the time. And that's the reason, one of the reasons to get married, so that somebody can deal with you. That is the only reason. Okay, and sometimes it works, which is nice, and sometimes it doesn't, which is also nice, because when it doesn't, then it brings you to Vedanta. Okay, so that is also nice. And so what happens? So this mana samsarga, this samsarga, this association with the mind, etc., this fallacious association, meaning, it's one thing to say, yes, I am Brahman and I am endowed with the mind. Then the mind becomes a kind of a vibhuti. What is vibhuti? Vibhuti means it's a kind of a glory. Mind is a glory. But here, the one who is constantly grumbling, morning you start grumbling, and then the volume of the grumbling increases in the afternoon, and then it turns down after lunch because the stomach is full and there is no energy anymore to grumble. Okay, and then after that again one grumbles, that the food was not good, this is not nice, this is not whatever. And so in sleep all that is not there. In a sense, you are free from yourself, from the worst of yourself. And so sleep becomes a wonderful escape. It's not just an escape. Even though colloquially we say it's an escape, it is a way of being with yourself. And what is this yourself? Swam sadrupam paramartha satyam apigato bhavati. So yourself, what self? That self which is Atma, which is Devata. Sat Devata, that Sat Devata, you are one with Bhagavan. And that Bhagavan which is Paramartha Satyam, which is the only and ultimate reality of you, that limitlessly whole Aham, this is what you are in sleep. And then what? Tasmat Swapiti iti enam achakshate laukikaha. We saw all this, just a revision. And so then then what happens? Then we saw, then we, Bhashyakara asks a question. So let us look at the question. Katham punaha
Katham punaha
laukikānām prasiddha
laukikanam prasiddha
swatma sampattihi
swatma sampattihi
jagrat shrama nimitta
jagrachama nimitta
udbhavatvat
udbhavatvat
swapasya
twapasya
ityahuhu.
ityahuhu.
So, katham punaha? How come? Then again, how come? How come what? Laukikanam prasiddha swatma sampattihi. This swatma sampatti is a difficult concept to understand. So, we have needed so many classes to understand this concept. Swatma sampatti means the gain of your own nature as Sat. And we have taken so much time to understand it and to get a hang of it, etc., etc. And so now, how come laukikana means lay people, people who are not studying Chandogya, people who are not studying Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, because there also all these states are given. People who are not studying Upanishad, people who are not reveling or dwelling in the Veda, how come they know Swatma Sampatti? How come they know this? And then the answer given is very beautiful. Jagrat Shrama Nimitta Udbhavatvat Swapasya iti ahuhu Panditaha. So the people who know what is what, people who are erudite, what do they say? They say that the regular people in the world also know about Swatma Sampatti. Swatma Sampatti means being one with Sat. So they may not be able to say the word Sat, they may not be able to, pontificate and then unfold the mantras, etc. But they do know that this Sat, that is a place of rest unlike any other. How do they know that? They know that simply through the effort of living the daily life. So Jagrat Shrama Nimitta Udbhavatvat Swapasya. So where does sleep come from? What is the impetus for sleep? The impetus for sleep is the tiredness, is the ayasa during the waking state. So what happens during the waking state? Samsara happens. What is samsara? Samsara is oneself trying, frenetically running around, trying to make things that you want to happen, and trying to keep things at bay that you don't want to make it unhappen. And things that have already happened, you want to make unhappen. Things that will never happen, you still want to make them happen. This is a very tiring life. Think about how much energy is expended in keeping things at bay that cannot be kept at bay. Why can't they be kept at bay? Because it is the domain of Ishvara as karma phala data. The giver of the result of action is the one, who is, it's your own action. And the results produced thereof deny certain things that you want. When, of course, in the waking state, we are not talking of sleep state yet. So in the sleep state, there are no wants. Simple. So in the waking state, whatever you want is denied, and then that is not accepted. And since that is not accepted, there is a frenzied activity that is unleashed at the physical, mental, emotional level. There is a lot of energy expended. There's a whole lot of energy expended, and then what happens? That becomes the nimitta. That becomes the hetu for sleep. That becomes the hetu. So this swapa, this sleep is needed because of the tiring efforts of the day. And then if we say, what are the tiring efforts of the day? You can say, the person may say, oh, I had to get up, I had to attend a meeting, I had to do all these things, and then a fight broke out between two people in the office, and I had to mediate that. And then whatever I wanted for the presentation was not there, so I had to run around to the stationery store and get this and get that and do everything. And then the computer crashed, and then I had to do this. It was a horrible day. So, when they break down the day from morning to evening, you just ask one question. Why did you have to do that? You just say, why did you have to do that? Oh, I had to go to the office. Why? Well, I have to pay my bills. Why? Because I'm not a sannyasi. And this time you ask, why not? Then you ask the question, why not? Why are you not a sannyasi? So like this, then it becomes abundantly clear that the most of the things, nearly all the things that one does in the course of the day is as the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad puts it, is frenzied. It is like a sanjvara. Jvara, feverish activity. Sanjvara means really highly feverish activity. So this meaning that there is a pressure to do, and that pressure causes one to crash. There's no difference between you and a piece of machine. The computer crashes, you also crash. The whole day goes about like this. And so what happens? So this Shrama Nimittam, the tiring efforts of the day, then one becomes Shranta from Shram Dhatu. So then because of this Shrama, because of this tiredness and this effort alone, the sleep is needed. Why? Because in the waking state, you can never get, Bhashyakara is going to say a little bit later, you can never get that kind of rest which you can get in the sleep state. You can never ever get that kind of a rest. And so, and then what happens? In the course, furthermore, as though this was not enough, in the course of doing all kinds of things, then you're doing all kinds of things means what you are doing? Karma. You're engaged in action. What do actions do? They have the annoying habit of producing results of action. And then what happens? Then you as the karta now then become the bhokta. You as the agent of action then becomes the experiencer of the results of action. So then Sukha and Dukkha unfold, keep on unfolding, unpacking themselves as gifts throughout the day. Throughout the day. And somebody told me recently that they were, what is that, their fiancé, somebody that they were going to marry, on their birthday, sent them a present every hour. That's only before the marriage, okay, yeah. And then after the marriage, after many years, this is not going to happen. So, sent them a present every hour. And so like this, the prarabdha karma also unfolds and you get a gift box every hour. So you open hurriedly, and actually you don't need to open it. It opens on its own, it opens. And then what happens? After it opens, sometimes Jack in the Box. You get scared. You run away. Snake. Jack in the Box. And sometimes something wonderful. Papa and Punya are also unfolding alongside your ayasa, alongside your efforts. Okay, so then so Sukha, so Papa Punya unfold, and then Papa brings dukkha, sorrow. Punya brings sukha. And then what happens? It's like an overkill. One is too stimulated, too much stimulated by sukha dukkha bhoga, overstimulated, like a tired child, a baby that hasn't gone to sleep when it is supposed to go to sleep. Too many guests in the house, too many lights, too much action, and then it just is unable to relax. That is how the jiva becomes after the end of the whole day. So this is what is talked about now. And then jagaritehi
जागरिते हि
punya nimitta
पुण्या पुण्यनिमित्त
sukha dukkhadi
सुखदुःखादि
aneka ayasa
अनेक आयास
anubhavat
अनुभवात्
shrantah bhavati.
शान्तः भवति.
Yeah. See, in dream, you can have a little bit of punya papa, but then that dream is so short-lived. Since it's a dream punya and dream papa, and you come out of it, you are not tired in the dream state. Although if it's a recurring dream or some kind of a dream where some emotions are getting processed, you can get tired in the dream state. In sleep, it is impossible to be tired. Why? Because you're not there and you're not engaged in activity. And then, therefore, only in the waking state is the jiva both a karta and a bhokta. This is something important to keep in mind. You are a karta and a bhokta only in the waking state. In dream state, you are not a karta, you are just a bhokta. And in sleep also, you are just a bhokta. So only in the waking state, you are a karta and a bhokta. And so therefore what happens? The tiredness is even more. Shranto bhavati. And then what happens? The eyes are tired. And then the ears are tired. Oh, I don't want to hear anybody. And the eyes are tired because you've been staring at the screen. And and then what? If you're staring at the screen, you have what is called? It is called Zoomitis. Okay, yeah. So you have Zoomitis, and and then you're staring at the screen, and then at other times also you're staring at some screen or the other. And then you feel like screaming, and so the eyes are tired, the hands are tired, and all the karanas, sense organs are tired, overstimulated, sick, wanting rest. And then so what happens? Let us see. Tatascha
ततश्च
ayastanam karananam
आयस्तानां करणानाम्
aneka
अनेक
व्यापार निमित्त
व्यापारनिमित्त
ग्लानानां
ग्लानानां
स्वव्यापारेभ्यः
स्वव्यापारेभ्यः
उपरमः भवति.
परमः भवति.
श्रुतेश्च
श्रुतेश्च
श्राम्यति एव वाक्
शाम्यति एव वाक्
श्राम्यति चक्षुः
शाम्यति चक्षुः
इत्येवमादि.
इत्येवमादि.
तथा च गृहीता वाक्
गृहीता वाक्
गृहीतं चक्षुः
गृहीतं चक्षुः
गृहीतं श्रोत्रम्
गृहीतं श्रो
गृहीतं मनः
गृहीतं मनः
इत्येवमादीनि
इत्येवमादीनि
करणानि
करणानि
प्राणग्रस्तानि.
प्राणग्रस्तानि.
Yeah. So now tatah cha, further, what happens? Ayastanam karananam. Each and every sense organ is tired and overstimulated. Ayasa has taken place, repetitive doing of the same old thing. So everything, all the sense organs are now exhausted. And then, and how are they exhausted? Aneka vyapara nimitta glananam. They are tired, they have glani, they are tired because of the tiredness is caused by aneka vyapara. The nimitta for that is aneka vyapara, caused by too many and varied activities. Then what happens? Then swasva vyaparebhyah, from their own realm of activities, uparamaha bhavati, a natural withdrawal takes place. Whether you want it or not, the eyes start to close. When? In Vedanta class. That is the best place for sleep. Because especially if we are discussing sleep, sleep will definitely come. And you have these quotations, Grihita vak, Grihitam chakshuhu, Grihitam shrotram, Grihitam manaha. You keep repeating that and you'll go to sleep now itself. It's very soothing to hear this part of the Shruti. And so, Brihadaranyaka Shruti. And so therefore, the sleep comes whether you want it or not. You want the eyes to stay awake. And you want to, break a toothpick in half and then put it there as a little stand for the eyes to keep open. The eyes will close naturally. And that's why people try, read a book in order to go to sleep. If they're not able to sleep, they read a book and then naturally, the eyes go to, the eyes close. The ears zone out, the mind zones out, the ears don't hear anymore. And then what else, and then shramyati eva vak, shramyati chakshuhu, ityeva madi, all these other things also get tired. Hands get tired, legs get tired. And then swasva vyaparebhyah, from their own vyaparas, from their own realm of activity, they withdraw. Uparati, they withdraw. Uparamaha bhavati. There is a withdrawal. So he quotes two shrutis for that. One is this shramyati eva vak, and then grihita vak, grihita, grihitam shrotram, etc. He quotes these two things from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantras are quoted to make this, to clinch this point that he is making, that that there is that sleep is something which is well loved even by the people who are not pandits. This is what is Bhashyakara's point. And then, so then they withdraw from all their activities. So then, what is that? The organ of speech is tired. Shramyati, and then the eyes are tired. That's what it means, And then what? Then all these indriyas, the other quote, grihita, vak, etc. The tired organs, the sense organs, and the organs of action are withdrawn. Grihita means they are received by the prana. They go into a place of rest, into the prana. They enter the prana. So they are received and absorbed for the time being by the prana. Eyes are withdrawn, ear is withdrawn, mind is withdrawn, all go back to prana. And prana here is not respiration. Prana here is a upalakshana for sadatma. It is sadatma. In other words, what does the Kenopanishad say? Pranasya sa uppranasya pranaha. That which is the prana of the prana. But what about the prana of the prana of the prana? No such thing exists. Because the buck stops at pranasya prana. So there is prana and then the prana of the prana. That is what it is, sadatma, sadakhyam brahma. So the prana is just a upalakshana, because all the other organs, you call out to the person, they don't answer, and you show them something, their favorite thing, their favorite piece of something they like to eat, you show them, they don't see. But what is active is only the prana is active. That's why it is said that everything goes to prana, because that prana is also not not a independent operator. It is governed by that Sat Devata, Brahman, Ishvara, because of which the prana functions. So the prana alone, everything is shranta, everything is tired. Prana alone is ashranta, not tired. And that's why, how do you know prana is not tired? Because you have sound sleep. What is sound sleep? Sleep that makes a sound, okay? Sleep in which there is a sound. That is how you know that the prana alone is not tired, because the prana is very much active, okay? And then what? So then further, so therefore atmani eva grihito bhavanti, so they are all withdraw unto that sadatma alone. And then what? Grihita bhavanti atmani eva. So then, therefore what? Prana bandhanam hi manaha. So this manaha, this mind, what happens to this mind in sleep? Because this mind and the senses, they don't function, but they rest in prana. They rest, they all resolve and rest in prana, but the prana alone remains active, and it's the only aspect of the Sukshma Sharira that keeps going. So then, so that's why prana is called Mukhya Prana, or it's called Pradhana elsewhere in the Shruti. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there was a dialogue between all the sense organs. They had a competition. And then the speech said, without me, the person, the jiva, cannot live. So speech was sent away for some time. And then it came back, and to its dismay, the person was fine. Learned sign language during the time, and was able to communicate fine without speech. Okay, and then the eyes were sent for 1 year. Go on a pilgrimage, and then let's see, if the person can live without you. The person managed fine. Got a stick and started to walk around and felt everything and managed fine. Same thing with the ears. But then prana left, and then the person also left, and so therefore prana sutratma. So this mukhyata, the importance of prana, the important place of prana is pointed out in the elsewhere in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And then here, as I said, it's not about the prana, it's pranasya prana, it is atma. And then, so then further, let us look at the bhashya. Let us see where it went. 1 second. Yeah, so pranah ek ashrantah
अश्रान्तः
देहे कुलाये
देहे कुलाये
यह जागर्ति
यः जागर्ति
तदा जीवः
तदा जीवः
श्रम अपनुत्तये
श्रम अपनुत्तये
स्वन्देवतारूपम्
देवतारूपम्
आत्मानं प्रतिपद्यते
आत्मानं प्रतिपद्यते
न अन्यत्र
न अन्यत्र
स्वरूप अवस्थानात्
स्वरूप अवस्थानात्
श्रम अपनोदः स्यात्
श्रम अपनोदः स्यात्
इति युक्ता प्रसिद्धिः
इति युक्ता प्रसिद्धिः
लौकिकानां
लौकिकानां
स्वं हि अपीतो भवति इति
स्वं हि अपीतो भवति इति
दृश्यते हि लोके
दृश्यते हि लोके
ज्वरादिरोगग्रस्तानां
जरादिरोगग्रस्तानां
तद्विनिर्मोके
तद्विनिर्मोके
स्वात्मस्थानां
स्वात्मस्थानां
विश्रमणं
विश्रमणं
तद्वद् इहापि स्यात्
तद्वद् इहापि स्यात्
इति युक्तम्.
इति उक्तम्.
Yeah, so pranah ekah ashrantah. So the prana alone is not tired. The prana alone is there. It oversees everything as it were, and the prana, in which all the karanas, all the sense organs, as we saw, take rest, take refuge. And then what? So very interesting, little, what should I say, a metaphor which is going to be a nice segue to the next thing that is going to come, the illustration that is going to come. So then the waking life is full of struggle. We saw that. And because of this struggle, the person is tired, frustrated, resistant, bored, everything. And then the person, this is the lay person, not a pandita, wants to gain some relief. And then what happens? Goes to sleep. Goes to sleep. And the example is what? Goes to sleep. Why? The shrama apanayanaya, apanuttaye, to remove the tiredness. So the shrama apanayanam means to remove that, to get some relief from tiredness. The person goes to sleep. And then the example is that, like the bird in the nest. Kulaya means the nest. Dehe kulaye, so dehe kulaye yo jagarti. So this is, like I said, it is there somewhere in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad we'll find it, and it is also there in this very Upanishad. We are coming upon a wonderful illustration which makes this very, very clear. And what is that? This illustration is that of a bird. A bird, which is, it's a sad illustration, but it's very, very apt. What is this illustration? The illustration is that of a bird which is whose legs are tied, and the string is held by the bird catcher. The bird catcher is holding the string. And then what happens? And at first the bird struggles against the string. It tries to fly and flops around, tries to fly again, and then again flops around, tries to fly, goes this way, goes that way, and then finally surrenders, alas, to its bondage and becomes quiet. That is what happens. And then so this is the illustration that we are going to come upon, because the person goes around like this restless bird into a whirlwind of activity during all day long, and returns to roost within the body, within the prana, not just within the body, within the prana. What happens during the sleep state? Because if the person just returns to the body, it will not work, because the body also is exhausted. So the person has to withdraw from this body in order to be free of exhaustion. Certain withdrawal from the body, from the mind, from the senses, etc., and has to resort to prana. That is why prana here again, as I said, is sadatma. That is why the relaxation is possible. And kulaye yah jagarti tada jivah shrama apanuttaye. When the jiva is awake, in this body there is shrama. And then the relief from shrama is gained from, how swam devata rupam pratipadyate. That is how. From the relief from shrama is gained by resorting, by going home, so to speak, by touching base, home base. What home base? I thought I was already home. I'm sleeping on my bed. No, not that home. The home where you actually feel at home. You may be at home, but you don't feel at home even when you are at home. Why? You look around. Oh, that wall is leaking. I should tell the landlord, or I should repair it. Oh no, something is wrong. When did that happen? Oh, the house is filthy. I have to clean it. One is never at home, even when you are at home. And so, this at home is being at home with yourself. When you are at home, maybe we should take the hakara away. When you are with Om, you are at home. Om is home. So this Om is pranasya pranaha. Because it is you. It is your Swarupa. It is what you want to be. You want to be calm? Check. You want to be free of anger? Check. You want to be free of sorrow? Check. Free of fear? Check. Free of all kinds of samsaric activities and the results of action and being tied to the action, result of action, this whole cycle? Check. All that is available. You want to be non-reactive? Check. You want to be compassionate? Check. You want to be free of hatred? Check. It's all there. This is your Swarupa. And in sleep, there is no difference between the sleep of a sadhu and a sleep of a robber. Same sleep. Both of them are with Sat. Sadhu is with Sat. And what shall we call the robber? Don't. Sadhu and don't. This is how they say in America, So even the don't, the one who is not a sadhu, is still, is still free in sleep. Amazing. That's why even the most hardened offender looks like a baby in sleep. This is amazing. Very, very amazing. That's why they say he or she is sleeping like a baby. Because one is at home with Om. One is with oneself. Om is oneself. So if you are at home with yourself, then in the waking state now I'm saying, then you are at home with everything and everybody. So now in sleep you naturally go home, and then in here alone Shrama Apanodaha is possible. The removal of Shrama, the relief from Shrama is only possible here in Swarupe. In one's own Swarupa. Why? Nirvikaratvat Swarupasya. Because that Swarupa is free of any change, any modification, any kind of a, some kind of a difficulty, free of afflictions. Nirvikara means no modification. Now happy, now complaining, now sad, now mad, now bored, now resistant. All that is not there. That is you. That is the truth of you. The Swarupa is changeless and not modifiable by anything. So the sadness, the anger, the want, all this is a big spoof because it is mithya. During the day, one dwells in mithya. During the sleep, one dwells in Sat. This is for people who don't have Vedanta. If you have Vedanta, the more you listen, the more waking parts of the day is also spent in Sat. The more you understand, the greater the clarity. This is what happens. So then, so he says that Anyatra, there is a very nice, where is that bhashya? Where did it go? It keeps going somewhere, all these various files I have opened. So, something he said, Anyatra, yeah, nahi Anyatra Swarupa Avasthanat Shrama Apanodah Syat. Swarupa Avasthanat Anyatra. Other than sinking into, pun intended, SYNC and SINK both. So, other than sinking into one's Swarupa, other than just being completely one with one's Swarupa, there is Shrama Apanodaha Nasyat. The relief from this, the exhausting samsara that one confronts, is not possible. Not possible. Why? Because every other place is a place that is already fraught with fraught with some kind of a duality. And there is no, in other words, wherever you go for some rest, there is always duality. Starting with you, the subject, and the place of rest. You see, there is already two. So you go to a place of rest, you go to, the subject goes to the place of rest, there are two things. And so, dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati. Because of duality, there is fear and there is sorrow. And so then, this is what is called Shanti. That being in one's Swarupa. The Patanjali's third Yoga Sutra. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. Very beautiful. It's a fantastic sutra. Drashtuhu. Meaning, drashtuhu means the seers of the seer. Swarupa. The truth of the seer. Swarupe avasthanam. Avasthanam means resting in the truth of the seer, which happens to be the same as the truth of the hearer. Drashtuhu Swarupa is the same as Shrotuhu Swarupa also. Shrotru Swarupa also is the same as Drashtru Swarupa, and it's the same as Mantra Swarupa, everything. It's all because Manta, Shrota, Drashta, seer, hearer, thinker, they are all just vibhutis, as though glories of the Atma, which is free from being hearer, seer, thinker, eater, drinker, all of this. And so, drashtuhu swarupe, in that swarupa, when one is at repose, that is the only rest. You don't have to go to sleep for that, but we are talking of here Laukika people, not people who are studying Vedanta. But so this is how they relax. This is how they get the Shanti. And so therefore, swapiti, swamhi apito bhavati. In this thing, what is that? In the world, we see this, that we see that people go to sleep and they are recharged, free from that whatever the difficulties of the day was, and that's why they have enough energy the next day to start all over again to reproduce samsara nicely. Okay, so then drishyate hi loke jvaradi rogagrastanam. So he gives a nice example here. In the world we see, what do we see? That for the people who have some disease, unfortunately they get some disease. They get flu, or right now what is the topic, COVID, something they got. And then after that, they jvaradi rogagrastanam. So jvara, fever, some, whatever it is, some infection, something happened. So grastana means afflicted by this disease. Tad vinirmoke, when they are free of that, the fever came down, the stomach doesn't hurt anymore, the visits to the bathroom have stopped. So there is a freedom. There is a freedom. And then tad vinirmoke swatmasthanam. Swatmasthanam vishramanam. So then one feels like, just like one feels more like oneself. So swastha means one is well, one is no longer sick. This is a very wonderful use of the words swastha and swasthya. Swasthya is the condition, swastha is the person. Swasthya means the one who is abiding in oneself. Here, the oneself is more connected to the body, mind, sense complex and the Ayurvedic doshas. Kapha, Vata, Pitta are in balance for that person, and the person feels swastha. Tadvad iha api syat yuktam. This so we can say, we can understand this, that the waking person is jvaradi aneka roga grastah. The waking person is feverish. The waking person has a disease. What is that? Bhava roga, the disease of becoming. It's an addictive disease. I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be famous, I want to go here, I want to go there, I want this, I don't want this, and I have to have this. And then what are you going to do after you have this? Then I want to have something else. This is the endless life of becoming. A very unbecoming quest. Okay? And so in this endless life of becoming, then what happens? This is the samsara jvara, bhavaroga. That is why Bhagavan is called Bhavaroga Bhishak. Bhishak means doctor. The doctor that reduces the fever of samsara. Oh, what does this doctor, the samsara doctor, because see, we have all kinds of specialists, do we not? So we have from, from neurology to podiatry, there is all kinds of people with their boards waiting for you to come, all kinds of specialists. And then you go see the board, okay, and then you get bored because none of that, that's why it's called bored. Then you get completely bored because none of them applies to you. Head is okay, at least one thinks so far the head is functioning. If nothing functions, doesn't matter, the head should function. Remember that, okay? Yeah, you have to keep the head well ahead of all these, difficulties. So then what happens? Then you look at all the symptoms and none of them apply to you. Then you come upon a board, let us imagine, which says Bhavaroga Bhishak, the doctor of the disease of becoming, the disease of samsara. Samsarologist. Okay, so there is just like there is a neurologist and there is a samsarologist. And so what will this samsarologist do to cure you? Samsarologist first will exorcise all the wrong notions through the incantations of the Mahavakya. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. And then, and then what? Asangoham, 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 Punah Punah. And then after that, and then Neti, 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 you're not this, you're not this, you're not this. And then what you are naturally comes to the fore. So this Bhagavan is called Bhavaroga Bhishak. Prathamo Daivyo Bhishak. In the Sri Rudram it comes. And so this is, this is very, very nice. And so all these other things, all these other rogas, when you recover, you can just empirically say swastha. You had a surgery, you are recovering, swastha, swasthosmi, I'm better, I'm recovering, I'm feeling better every day, you can say. But that is all, that word swastha is just borrowed from there. But really, the word swastha and swasthya belongs to you after you have been cured by Bhagavan from the samsara jvara. That is, Bhagavan means Bhagavan's grace, which is allowing you to study. Same thing. That is what it is. Then you are cured of that, and then that is when you can say, I am really swastha, meaning I am at home with myself. At home with myself means I have accepted whatever there is to accept. Whatever is there, I am okay with that. And then, So then he, ityadi, then he quotes a Shruti. So what is that? Did we read that? We did. Yeah, we didn't read this quotation. Tadyatha
तद्यथा
Shyeno va
येनो वा
Suparno va
पर्णो वा
Viparipatya
विपरिपत्य
Shrantah
अन्तः
Ityadi Shrutescha.
इत्यादिश्रुतेश्च.
Yeah, so this is again from the, this is a common, must be a common analogy. So it comes in many Upanishads. So this is there in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in the fourth Brahmana, and also in the, where else? In the Chandogya also we are going to come upon this particular metaphor. Tadyatha, Shyenaha. Shyenaha is a falcon. Falcon is called Shyenaha. Suparnaha is eagle or any bird. Any bird is Suparna, or eagle, Suparna. Hawk, eagle, etc. Shyenova, whether it's a falcon or Suparnova or any other bird, Viparipatya. Viparipatya means that which has been captured by the bad bird catcher, by the bird hunter. Its legs are tied to the cage, or it's in a cage, or its legs are tied to a string. Then viparipatya shrantah. So first it struggles, and then it is tired, shrantah. So the other Shruti also says this. So then tatra ayam drishtantah yathokte arthe. So in order to exemplify this further, what we have been talking about, the sleep state, etc., etc., this particular what is that called, drishtanta, illustration is given. Let us see. Sayatha shakunihi
स यथा शकुनिः
सूत्रेण प्रबद्धः
सूत्रेण प्रबद्धः
दिशं दिशं पतित्वा
दिशं दिशं पतित्वा
अन्यत्र आयतनम् अलब्ध्वा
अन्यत्र आयतनम् अलब्ध्वा
बन्धनम् एव
बन्धनम् एव
उपश्रयते
उपश्रयते
एवमेव खलु सौम्य
एवमेव खलु सौम्य
तन्मनः
तन्मनः
दिशं दिशं पतित्वा
दिशं दिशं पतित्वा
अन्यत्र आयतनम् अलब्ध्वा
अन्यत्र आयतनम् अलब्ध्वा
प्राणमेव
प्राणमेव
उपश्रयते
उपश्रयते
प्राणबन्धनं हि प्राणबन्धनगं हि सौम्य
प्राणबन्धनगं हि सौम्य
मनः इति.
मनः इति.
Yeah. So Sayatha Shakunihi. So Shakuni was the name of the uncle. Gandhari's brother in the Mahabharata was called Shakuni. So maybe he had a hook nose which resembled, he was born perhaps with a hook nose which resembled the beak of a parrot or a bird, and maybe perhaps he was named Shakuni, but he was really bad news, contributed to the downfall of the Pandavas. Horrible fellow, very sneaky, no dharma, etc., etc. But let's not get riled up about talking about that Shakuni. Let's talk about this Shakuni, which just means simple bird. So what does this bird do? What is up with this bird? Sayatha Shakunihi. A very sad bird. Why? Sutrena prabadhaha. The Sanskrit is very beautiful here, simple. Everybody can understand. Sutrena prabadhaha. Tied by a string whose legs we have to supply a few things, because a Upanishad is a lady of few words. She doesn't say much, and we have to understand. We have to supply. So Sutrena prabadhaha Shakuni. So a bird that is tied, whose legs are tied with a string. Disham disham patitva. So for patitva means having fallen, but before it falls, what it does, it struggles to fly away. And then it just falls because the string only goes this much, and the shock of just the string catching it brings it to drop back into the, sadly, the hunter's palms. The hunter is holding the string, so it flies and then flops down, flies and then flops down. So disham disham, it flies to the east, flies to the west, and then flops down. So this vipsa is there. Disham disham means prati disham. Pratehe vipsarthah. So then disham disham patitva anyatra ayatanam alabdhva, not having gained any other place of rest. Not having gained any other place of rest, anyatra ayatanam alabdhva, not gaining this, repeatedly flying and falling, flying and falling. What does it finally do? Sadly, what does it do? Bandhanam eva upashrayate. It accepts its bondage or resorts, comes back to the hand of the hunter, which is accepting the bondage. It resorts to the bondage. Why? Because it is tired. It flops around, not for want of trying. It resorts to the bondage. It resorts to the bondage because it has run out of every option. No other options are there for it, and so then it just resorts to the bondage. And so then what happens? Then this is the example here. So then where is the string? It's in the hands of the bird hunter, and then it flies this way, that way, everything, and then it then says, okay, there is no other way. And this is the example. And then what happens? The mind is also like that. The mind is also like that, runs around everywhere, and then does this, does that, goes here, goes there, and then finally tires, gives itself over to prana. What is prana? Pranasya prana. That is the idea. So disham disham patitva, then anyatra ayatanam alabdhva pranameva upashrayate tanmanah. Tanmanah means it's not the mind, it's the person with this kind of a mind. Bhashya will explain, we'll see. Sayatha shakunihi pakshi shakunighatakasya hastagateena sutreణ prabadhah Pashitah Disham disham Bandhana moksharthi san Pratidisham patitva Anyatra bandhanat Ayatanam Ashrayam Vishramanaya Alabdhva Aprapya Bandhanameva upashrayate. Yeah, beautiful bhashya here. He hasn't disturbed the Shruti. Look how beautiful it is. There is no disturbance to the Shruti at all. The Shruti words are intact, and then in between he has explained little bit. Yatha shakuni sa, he has added pakshi shakunighatakasya hastagateena sutrena prabadhah. Like that he just explains. So this pakshi, what is this? Sutrena prabadhah. The Shruti said, bound by the string. And then, if bound by the string means, where is the other end of the string? Alas, in the hands of the Shakuni Ghataka, in the hands of the bird catcher, bird hunter. And then, Prabadhaha. We can think it is all bound up. No. Pashitaha, it is tied. One part of it, one wing of it, one leg of it is tied. Then what does it do? Poor thing, disham disham bandhana moksharthi. Now the Shakuni has become a mumukshu. It is a moksharthi. It wants to be free of this bondage. So the jiva, see how nice the example is in terms of the jiva. The jiva also goes here, tries this, goes there, tries that. Oh, that didn't work. Let me get married. That also didn't work. Let me have children. That also didn't work. Let me find a job. That never worked. Let me retire. That also didn't work. Let me have another life. So this is what disham disham, everywhere. Going here, going there, wanting this, wanting that, and not really looking at the source of the bondage. Of course, I'm stretching this example to where it doesn't need to go, but the metaphor is obvious here. Here we are only illustrating sleep, but we can go further with this example because the word moksharthi is used. Bhashyakara Adi Shankara is giving permission to go there because he used the word moksharthi. The Shakuni has become a mumukshu, just like all the jivas who are mumukshus and who are going from one place to another restlessly all the time. And then what happens? Anyatra bandhanat ayatanam ashrayam vishramanaya alabdhva. So, bandhanat anyatra, a typical use of the fifth case. Other than the bondage, there is no other place of rest. So what is the bondage here? The bondage for the Shakuni is the hands of the hunter, the source of the string. The so-called bondage for the jiva, it's not really a bondage, it's the place of rest, which is Sadakhya Atma, Sadatma. So other than this place of bondage, ashrayam alabdhva bandhanameva upashrayate. It accepts the bondage. It is okay with the bondage because it has no other option. It settles down, thinking this is no use struggling. So then, this is the drishtanta. Now for the darshtanta. What is darshtanta? Darshtanta means that which the example or the illustration exemplifies. The example is the bird in the tied with a string, and what does it exemplify? Let us see. And then evameva yatha ayam drishtantah khalu he somya tanmanah tat prakritam shodashakalam anna upachitam mano nirdharitam tat pravishtah tat sthah tad upalakshitah jivah tanmanah iti nirdishyate manchakrosanavat. Very nice. So this tanmanah is explained very beautifully. What is this tanmanah? So tanmanah is not that mind. Here it is a compound that is referring to the person. Okay. So tanmanah tat prakritam, that which is under discussion. What is under discussion? That mind which is under discussion, which is Shodashakalam, which has 16 aspects. Shodashakala, we saw Purushaha, and then which is Anna Upachitam, that Annamayam hi Somya Manaha we saw. How do we remember? Because that was what made Shvetaketu not eat for 10 days. And 15 days he could not eat. Why? Because to illustrate Shodashakala Purushaha, he was given a practical Vedanta lesson. Don't eat for 15 days, but drink plenty of water. So then, so anna upachitam. So why? Because annamayam hi manaha. We have seen this repeatedly in our study of Trivrit Karanam. So anna upachitam mano nirdharitam. Mano nirdharitam. So that which is ascertained to be the mind. And then tat pravishtam. Tat pravishtaha. The one that has entered the mind, has identified the mind. Tatsthaha, the one who lives in that mind. Tad upalakshitaha jivaha tanmanaha. So the one that is indicated by this is the jiva, not the mind. We are not talking of the mind. We are talking of the jiva that is identified with the mind. And which mind? The mind that has Shodasha Kala, 16 aspects, the mind that is nourished by food that you eat, that mind. So then why not say Jiva straight away? Why say Tanmanaha? Adi Shankara has a beautiful example to show that. This is an example within the example. Tanmanaha iti nirdishyate mancha kroshanavat. So sometimes you have these beds that are old and creaky, and so you turn around, the bed creaks, okay, and you turn this way and then there is a creaky sound. So then we say the bed is wailing, the bed is weeping, mancha kroshanam, mancha kroshanam. So the bed is weeping. So this is a kind of a transference. This is a kind of a transference, a kind of a, we know what we are saying. It's a kind of a poetic transference where you say the bed is crying. The bed is not crying. The person is moving on the bed, and since the bed is old, it is making a creaking sound. That's all it is. So just like that, so Tanmanaha is the person who is identified with the mind. Okay. So this is the idea. So then, saha mana akhya upadhihi
mana akhya upadhihi
jivaha
jivaha
No, I was reading the same line again. Avidya kama karma upadishtam disham sukha dukkhadi lakshanam jagrat swapnayoho patitva gatva anubhuya ityarthah anyatra sadakhyat swatmanah ayatanam vishramanasthanam alabdhva pranameva pranena sarvakarykarana ashrayena upalakshita प्राणः इति उच्यते सदाख्या परदेवता परादेवता. So this will this part very beautiful, that what is being illustrated with this flying and restless bird we'll see in the next class, which is going to take place tomorrow, same time, same place. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. We have a couple of minutes. If anybody has any question, you can unmute yourself and talk, or you can write in the chat pod. Bala, I got your email. I will meet with you. Right now, for the next few days, I have another retreat going on, so evenings are not that free. So I will let it finish. So next week I will let you know. Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely fine, Swamiji,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
problem.
Okay, yeah.
Thank
So
you.
that is what I wanted to say. I got your email, but I will
But yes,
meet with
and
you.
thanks. It was wonderful bhashing today. The bird example is just truly
Yes. It's
captures
too,
the essence.
yeah, too good. It's too good. It's a wonderful. It's all Guru's grace. Pujya Swamiji. Yeah. Any other questions or anything? All right. See you all